Hey, everybody, how's it going? It's me, your boy, Jax Badicy here. Welcome back to the Minecraft Guide, episode number 11. I've got to take a moment to say here, big shout out to me for getting all of the episode numbers right so far. What even is this? Is this even my series? In pretty much every single series that I've run, I've completely butchered the episode numbers, but no, not this time. This is a new me and also a new year. Happy New Year's, everybody. So, today we're going to start off at our magical tree area with a little bit of enchanting. We're going to make two things right off the bat here, a diamond shovel and a diamond sword. Now, if we take a look at our level, we are level 31. That means we can only enchant one of these things with a level 30 enchant. I'd like to see which one is better. So, a diamond shovel on breaking 3. Okay, that's not bad. Or smite 4. Well, you already know. I'm taking this shovel because that is, oh, wow. That's a bad shovel. Yeah, but it'll be good for work. Today, we're going to need that shovel, so I guess it will work. Now, today we're going to talk all about bone meal. Well, kind of. Bone meal is actually the segue that I was looking for. So, I like to terraform, right? And one of the big steps in terraforming, at least for me, is bone mealing the ground and getting more flowers and grass everywhere. And I'd also like to breed the bees up because I think we're missing all of our bees over there now. And that means we need flowers. To get flowers, we need bone meal. To get bone meal, we need a skeleton farm. And we haven't found a skeleton spawner quite yet. So, hostile mob farm. Easy. Early game one. That is the plan today. Now, this thing is so easy to build that you will only need one thing. Well, actually, not really actually. To build this farm, you're basically just going to need a lot of building blocks. We'll be using a lot of cobblestone today. Hopefully, we have enough. If we don't, we can take a break and go mine some, though. But yeah, just get a lot of building blocks. You'll also want to have some tools, probably too. And today is going to mark the day that we finally throw the beef into the smoker, cook this stuff up, and then switch over to it. It's been long enough. We made the cow farm like 6 episodes ago or 5 episodes ago now, and it's just been sitting there unused. So yeah, definitely time for that. Now, this farm is going to take up a lot of space, like a lot. And this farm is also not going to look very good because we're building it all out of cobblestone. So, that means we need to find somewhere that is big, flat, and open and not visible from over here. Because so far, everything's looking really good, and I'd hate to ruin that with a giant cobblestone platform. Yeah, it just wouldn't really look very good. So, we have a few options. We have the desert over there. That would be perfect, like literally perfect. But the problem is we can see it, and so that's not good. But I do think that we can start by going off this way into the desert, and maybe, just maybe, we'll find the perfect location, like over there. I'm thinking the desert is going to be perfect for this build because, I mean, deserts are usually pretty flat and open. Oh, and by the way, there's a savannah village right over there. When we explored for bees in episode number 4, that's the village we actually found. It's really, really close to us, so kind of cool. But what do we have over here? I don't think I've seen this quite yet. Definitely flat. That could work, but it's not really open enough. No way. Have I found that desert? Oh, and another desert village. Of course, because yes, of course. There was a seed reveal last episode, by the way, guys. Wow, that's amazing. So, this area, though, that's not really cutting it. That's not really going to be flat enough. That'll be a lot of work. So maybe let's try going this way now. I don't really want to go too far from our base because I'd like to be able to run over to this thing quickly so we could use it on stream or just off camera and not have to go super far. Like, yeah, I definitely don't want to have to link this up with a nether portal eventually. So, yeah, but wait. This actually might be perfect in here. Like this area. And it's really close to our base. Yeah. No, I think this is the perfect area and I didn't even realize it. So, yeah, this should work. Now, to build this thing, you're looking for anywhere that is big, flat, and open. Something like this. It doesn't need to be too big, but it probably should be fairly sizable. Now, before we start the build, I'd like to say that this is only one of the ways that you can build this thing. This farm is going to be built up on the surface because I like the idea of it, but you could build it under the ground. If you're building this farm under the ground, it will work just as well as it will on the surface, but you will have to do a lot of digging, and that means it's going to take longer to set up. Not a big deal though, because you won't have to use any blocks while you're building it under the ground, and while digging it, you'll stock up on a lot of other blocks. If you're building this under the ground and you're really smart, you would set this up way down at like Y10, so maybe you find diamonds while building the thing. So here's what I'm thinking. To make this land a little easier to work with, a little better for this farm, we'll start by lowering the layer that I'm walking on right now down by 1 block. That should make this area easier to work with, and it'll give us a lot of sand in the process. So that's where I'm going to start today. And thankfully, we have this beautiful diamond shovel to break in today. Unfortunately, no efficiency. That would make our life a little bit easier, but unbreaking 3 definitely isn't bad at all. Now, I'm thinking that this farm will fit in between this river here and the lake over there, but we'll probably end up removing a little bit of the lake because this is one of those builds that gets better the bigger you make it. So removing the lake a little bit, that won't hurt, and it looks like it's all only 1 block deep. Yeah, other than that tiny weird spot, so that's not going to really be a problem. I don't know if it's just me, guys, but the sound of digging sand, this is like ASMR, like seriously. In editing, I'll crank this volume up and wow. Yeah, you tell me that's not like spine chilling, like wow. I don't know. Maybe I just am a little too obsessed with Minecraft. That could definitely be that could definitely be the case. But you guys would never judge me for that, right? Right? Right. They were exactly. So, while I finish up the preparation for this project, let's talk about the farm and what it'll be getting us. This build will be great for getting us bones, as well as all of the other common mob drops early on. Eventually, we'll build a much better hostile mob farm, but for now, this will be great. And with the way that we're going to build this, we'll also be able to use this thing for collecting ender pearls as well, which will be great whenever we're trying to go to the end, but that probably won't be for a little while. So, hostile mob farms. Hostile mob farms are amazing for getting all of the loot that I just talked about and experience. Experience is obviously crazy useful, and you probably want to get that stuff. Now, this particular build is a super simple early game one. It's definitely not the best hostile mob farm out there, but it's the easiest one to set up. So, first, what kind of mobs do you want to find inside of this thing? If you'd like to find Enderman inside of it, you'll be building this thing 3 blocks high. If you don't want any Enderman, build it 2 blocks high. Now, before building this farm, I think we need to break down hostile mob spawning. Hostile mobs in Minecraft are, of course, the bad guys. The bad guys spawn at a light level of 7 or less. So hostile mob spawning isn't controlled by the day-night cycle, it's controlled by the light level. If we check our F3 screen right now, we can see that our light level is currently 15. If we move under this block, it goes down to 14. That's how this farm works. Basically, we'll be using a bunch of blocks to create a ceiling, and underneath that ceiling, we'll have a giant dark area where hostile mobs can spawn. Now, again, check the light level. 15 out here under the sun, that's the light level that the sun lets off, and then 14 underneath this block. So each time that you place a block inwards, the light level will go down 1. Right now, 15, then 14, and then 13. We need to get this all the way down to a light level of 7 or less. And that means if we were going to use this method, that would be a lot of slabs. We'd have to keep placing them and filling them in. And yeah, it'll take a lot of space up. Now we can speed this process up by putting a wall on this thing, but that's a lot of building blocks. So what I think we're going to do today is sink our platform down into the ground a little bit. The plan here is to make it 3 high so we can find Enderman, and to have the ceiling of this thing sit right here, 1 block above the ground. So that means that we'll need to dig 2 blocks down, so we'll get a lot more sand, and this area should become pretty dark. If we have any problems, then we can go around the side and place blocks, and that's not a big deal because it'll only be 1 layer's worth of blocks. So that's the whole setup for the build. Now, how am I going to do this? Well, I'm gonna dig down into the ground, break sand, place a torch, and hopefully the sand falls and the torch breaks the sand. This is known as the torch trick. I definitely talked about it earlier on in the series, and in the last season, or if you played Minecraft for more than a day, you maybe know about it, and if you don't, you should. It's amazing. This method will cut the durability that we'll use on our shovel in half, because we're digging half the amount of blocks. Now, once we get to the lake, I'm definitely going to have to place a bunch of sand down to get rid of the water, and then we'll just remove it all again with the shovel and torch trick. This is going to speed things up quite a bit. Now, I think I'll start with all of the land removal, and then we'll come back and put the ceiling on after, because otherwise mobs will start to spawn in here, and that's definitely bad. So I think we can start this farm maybe right here. I want to go close to the river, but not too close. This thing could go all the way up to maybe, I guess, like here, maybe. We can dig the hill back a little bit, that's fine. And then all the way back to, well, I guess it really could go all the way back to like here, and then we can dig through that hill if we need to too. That wouldn't be a problem at all. Now, for hostile mobs to spawn, you need a dark area, but that's not the only requirement. You'll also need space for the mobs to spawn, obviously. Most basic Minecraft mobs, like creepers, skeletons, and zombies, need a 1-block space that is 2 blocks tall to be able to spawn. Endermen need a 1-block space that is 3 blocks tall to be able to spawn. And then the final common Minecraft mob, the spider, needs a 3x3x2 block space to spawn. Now, once we build this thing, I'll show you guys how to block spider spawns inside of it if you don't want any spider spawns, because spiders can honestly be, they can be a little annoying for sure. So you might want to cut them out of this whole process. Now, before I cut away to do a bunch of the digging, I'd like to stress that you don't need to set this thing down into the ground at all. You can build it right on the surface and it'll be fine, it'll work. You'll just need to make the ceiling of the thing much larger due to how light levels work in Minecraft. But I think I have a lot of digging on my hands now, so wish me luck. It actually shouldn't take too long, but if the sand keeps not cooperating, it might take a while, but I will be back in a little while with hopefully a giant area that's dug out, and then we'll put the slabs on after I'm back. You know, this is actually the perfect time for the first time-lapse talk of the whole series, so I think we're actually going to do that instead of just skip all of this process. In the background is footage of me placing torches and breaking sand. I hope you guys enjoy it, and the sound is muted because I was watching Etho while working on this project, and I didn't actually plan on adding this segment in until editing. I thought this would be cool to put in here. Today, I'd like to talk about the brand new year and my plans, so that'll be the topic. So 2020, I think it's going to be a huge year for Minecraft. Of course, we have the Nether update that should begin snapshots soon. I kind of have a feeling that the snapshots will begin next week, so fingers crossed. I really hope that happens, and if that is the case, then Snapshot Wednesday will become a thing. Every single Wednesday, there will be a snapshot video on the channel. With that being said, I think things might sort of start to fall into a bit of an upload schedule. I still am planning on getting 4 episodes of this series out a week, or 3, just kind of depends on what I'm making that week, but 3 or 4 videos a week in this series for sure. I'm having a lot of fun in this world. So with that being said, I have a feeling that the series might start to get posted on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then on the weekend, but maybe, I guess we'll see. I'm not trying to lock anything in. I think we'll stay in this world until probably until the Nether update, and then we'll switch into a brand new survival world, but that'll kind of depend on how long the Nether update actually takes and what we're actually doing in this world. Maybe we'll end up staying in this world past the Nether update. I'm not really too sure. What I do know, though, is that I'd love to do a Nether survival series once the Nether update happens, because I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot to check out in the Nether, and I think that would be a really fun way to learn about this stuff and get to experience it firsthand. I mean, we'd literally be living in the Nether. You can't miss this stuff if you're doing that. This year, I'd also like to make sure I stay dedicated to streaming all year long. Eventually, I'd like to ramp things up, and maybe somewhere in there, maybe sometime soon, I'd like to do a special streaming week where I try and stream every day or every other day just for the heck of it, because I kind of think that would be really fun to do. During last week's stream, we talked about streaming other games a little bit, and you guys seem to like that idea, so that might become a thing as well. I really have my eyes on Terraria right now, and I've been loving Stardew Valley IRL, so maybe something like that? Maybe? I guess we'll see. Now, finally, the last thing that I'd like to make sure I'm good about this year is definitely the second channel. Sometimes I have more inspiration for that channel and I have a bunch of content, and then other times I kind of run out of ideas, but hopefully I can stay pretty on track with that channel this year as well. And yeah, I have a second channel. If you didn't know about it, there should be a link down in the description. You should slide over there and check it out. But overall, 2020 is going to be a really big year for Minecraft, and I think it'll be a really fun year for me and the channel as well. And I hope you guys stick around to enjoy it and experience it all. But I think that's everything that I wanted to say in here, so let's go ahead and get back to the project. Alright, you guys, well, it's been a while, like a long while, but do you notice anything different? The land behind me? Yeah, not the land behind me. Nope. Well, technically yes, but the stake. That's what's different. I bet I gotcha. So yeah, the digging's done now, which means it's time to put the roof on this thing. Now, if you're building this thing, you can use pretty much anything you'd like to use for the roof. If you have a lot of cobblestone, like I do, then use cobblestone. If you have maybe like, I don't know, a lot of stone, then use stone. Maybe a lot of wood, that would work too. But I definitely do recommend doing your ceiling out of slabs. Definitely, absolutely 100% use slabs, and make sure the slabs are placed on the lower half of a block so you don't get spawns on top of this thing if you happen to use it at nighttime, but this is definitely way more useful in the daytime. Now, you should use slabs because, well, it is going to save a lot of resources. This is a big space to fill in with blocks, and if you're using normal solid blocks, well, that's going to take a lot. Slabs will work just as well, so you might as well take a single block and cut it into two, so you can cut in half the amount of blocks that you need to use for the thing. That's really the only reason. The slabs are just way cheaper. Now, I'm planning on filling this thing in from the back towards the front in case I run out of slabs. If we run out of slabs once we get toward the front, it's really not that big of a deal. We can have an open area, and then later we can come back in with more slabs and finish it off, because no matter what, we'll definitely have an area that will at least start to spawn mobs, which is really good. Now, I have, I think, almost 2 double chests full of sand now, which is really nice as well. I use a lot of glass on my build, so we're kind of stocked up for probably a long time. But if I wanted to, I could come back in and lower the floor even more for even more sand. If you decide to build this thing more than 3 blocks tall, nothing will change at all. Mobs will spawn inside of this thing as normal. You'll just have a higher ceiling, which I mean, it doesn't help anything, but it definitely doesn't hurt anything either. So, in short, after digging out some space, if you're doing that, the next step is placing a ceiling. If you didn't dig out any space, well, then place your ceiling, either 2 blocks or 3 blocks off the ground, but you could go higher than that if you'd like. And with that, I am out of slabs, pretty much. I mean, we have 2 stacks of cobblestone left, but that's literally it. That's the last of my cobblestone, and I don't know if I want to use that stuff up today. So, now what we can do to make this area even darker is place some walls around this thing. Take a look at that back corner over there. The walls go all the way up. You can kind of tell that that corner is a little darker than the one that's over there, and that's because it's more closed off. So basically, we can make this build even darker by placing wall blocks all the way around the side of this thing. Now, by sinking this 2 blocks down into the ground, we can skip a lot of the wall placing, which is really nice. I got, of course, a lot of sand from digging this out as well, so we can easily come back in here and just fill a little bit of sand in, and then this whole platform should be really dark at the back, and that honestly might be good enough for today. Let's take a look. Oh, yeah, yup, yep, that's exactly what I wanted. Yes, this is perfect. So now, to use this thing, basically, we run over to it, we take out the mobs, and then we need to run away. So there's the light requirement for hostile mobs to spawn, there's the space requirement, and then there is the player requirement. On screen right now is a super clean graphic obtained from the Minecraft wiki. This graphic is all about mob spawning on Minecraft Java Edition. This mechanic is a little different on Bedrock Edition. When a player is within 16 blocks of a mob spawner, that spawner will be active. Now, hostile mobs will not spawn within 24 blocks of the player. Outside of that though, as long as the light and space requirements are met, everything is game. Now when a hostile mob spawns more than 32 blocks away from the player, that mob will not move and it can despawn randomly. Any hostile mob that is more than 128 blocks away will despawn immediately. So that's basically how spawns work. Now, to use this thing, like I said, you run up and you take the mobs out. Then after taking the mobs that are inside of this thing out, you need to walk away from it and then come back. By walking away from this thing and then coming back to it, this thing is loaded and then unloaded. Now, how far do you need to go away? Well, you don't really need to go all that far away. You can stay kind of near the thing. I recommend walking maybe 32 to 64 blocks away and then coming back. That should be more than good enough. Now, the creepers on this thing, definitely fight those guys outside of this platform, because if you fight them underneath and then you have a mistake, well, they'll explode and then you'll have a ceiling hole and then things won't spawn under here and that'll be really, really bad. So yeah, just be careful with the creepers. Now, I mentioned something about stopping spiders from spawning. So let's say we didn't want any spiders to spawn underneath this thing. We can place slabs spaced out just like this to prevent spider spawns. The slabs should be placed in a square formation 2 blocks apart from each other. These slabs are breaking up that 3x3 area that the spiders need to spawn, and therefore spiders will not spawn in here, but the other hostile mobs can still spawn in here because, as you can see, there's a lot of open space. But I kind of want spiders to spawn inside of this thing. I'd like to use this thing for all sorts of mob loot, including string, and at least for now until we have a spider spawner, so I'm gonna leave it just like that. And with that, that brings us to just about the end of the episode, and actually a segue into the next big stream project. This week on Thursday, I'll be streaming from this world again, 3 p.m. Eastern on my Twitch, and we'll be improving this mob farm. The plan for the stream will be to make this thing a little bit larger, and then maybe even add on some other small improvements as well, but I guess we'll kind of have to wait and see with what we actually end up doing. Again, that stream will be on Thursday at 3 p.m. But that, I think, just about does it for this super simple early game hostile mob farm zombies. You guys are kind of a problem. I should probably light these caves up as well, especially if we're going to be over here farming mobs. This is kind of a problem. Remember that this thing will only get better the bigger you build it. So build it as big as you want. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, drop a like and subscribe. Remember, all of my links are down in the description below. Today, I'd like to send a big thank you, a big shout out to my patron, Archangel. Thank you for the support, and again, Happy New Year's, everybody. I'll see you next time. My name is Wattles. Goodbye.